Ankit, we are live? Okay. Very good evening, participants, and very good evening, Dr. Koumudi ma'am. Today's guest speaker from Indian Institute of Technology, Kanpur. Ma'am is giving Indian context and discuss the challenges on ground in its implementation. With the help of few success stories, the lecture will introduce students to design dilemmas. As you already know, myself Manish Arora, faculty member, Department of Applied Art, Faculty of Visual Art, Banaras Hindu University. This is a 3-month part-time certificate course, Fundamental of Social Design, running under the Spark project mode from Government of India in association with Maryland Institute College of Art, MICA, Baltimore, and Michigan State University, Michigan State, USA. Now I'm welcoming Dr. Koumudi Patil ma'am to give their lecture for today's session. Ma'am, please start your session.
Sure. Thank you so much, Professor Arora. This lecture will apply the social design theories to the Indian context and discuss the challenges on ground in its implementation. With the help of a few success stories, this lecture will introduce you to design dilemmas based on the practice of social design. Here is a case study. Being a port city since the colonial days, Mumbai in India has attracted an increasing number of migrants from different parts of the country. However, in the early days, when the city was being established as a trade hub, restaurants and canteens were not in trend. Workers left early in the morning for offices and often spent their day hungry without lunch. Having migrated from different regions, these workers had different types of tastes: Bengali, Bihari, Malayali, etc. So in 1890, Mahadev Havaji Bachache started a lunch delivery service in Bombay with about 100 men, generally belonging to the Varkari sect. These men became the Dabbawalas, and the business model of Mahadev was a resounding success. Later, a charitable trust was registered in 1956 under the name of Nutan Mumbai Tiffin Box Suppliers Trust. The commercial arm of this trust was registered in 1968 as Mumbai Tiffin Box Suppliers Association. When literally translated, the word Dabbawala means one who carries a box. The closest meaning of the Dabbawala in English would be the tiffin box delivery man. Today, between 175,000 and 200,000 lunch boxes are moved each day by 4,500 to 5,000 Dabbawalas. It was claimed by Raghunath Medge, the president of the Mumbai Tiffin Men's Association in 1998, that Dabbawalas make less than one mistake in every 6 million deliveries. The service model of the Dabbawalas, who are not management graduates nor equipped with high-tech gadgets, has attracted a lot of attention. In 2005, the Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad, featured a case study on the Mumbai Dabbawalas from a management perspective of logistics. In 2010, Harvard Business School added the case study, the Dabbawala system on time delivery every time, to their compendium for its high level of service with a low cost and simple operating system. Dabbawalas were even invited to the wedding of Prince Charles and Camilla Parker Bowles in 2005. Now the question, of course, rises: what makes low cost, low tech, low literate system so efficient? In this system, dabbas are prepared either at homes or in a mess. A collecting dabbawala, usually on a bicycle, collects dabbas from these places. As many of the dabbawalas are low literate, the dabbas have some sort of distinguishing mark on them, such as a color or group of symbols. Lunch boxes are marked in several ways. For instance, abbreviations for collection points, color code for starting station, number for destination station, markings for handling dabbawala at destination, building and floor, etc. The dabbawala takes the dabbas to a sorting place on a bicycle. Based on the distinguishing mark like a color code, dabbawalas sort the lunch boxes into groups. On the bicycles, these grouped dabbas are delivered at local railway stations. The grouped boxes are put in the coaches of trains with markings to identify the destination of the box. The markings include the railway station to unload the boxes and the destination building delivery address. At each station, boxes are handed over to a local dabbawala who delivers them to the end users. The empty boxes are collected after lunch or the next day and taken back on bicycles to the station, back to a sorting place, and then over to the respective houses. This system is labor intensive. It produces and manages locally. It has a decentralized production. It is an informal sector. Production plus supply plus consumption happens locally. It's affordable. It's mass produced and yet customized. It's a green public transport system. Isn't this the kind of efficient solution that the food security bill in India requires? The National Food Security Act 2013, also called as a Right to Food Act, is an Indian act of parliament which aims to provide subsidized food grains to approximately two-thirds of the country's 1.2 billion people. But how have we designed our food distribution system for this act to be implemented? India is amongst the top three largest producers of food grains in the world, but it falls below Rwanda in food distribution. It is interesting to note that the dabbawalas in Mumbai are able to take care of not only production but also distribution of food. The future is already here, according to Gibson. It's just not very evenly distributed. As essential services such as water, food, environment, health, and basic education become sparse and disproportionately hoarded, what will be tomorrow's areas of significance? Anand says that the next war will not be fought in oil, but for water. Will feeding a population of 1.2 billion gain urgency over information technology in a world that recently saw a scourge of revolutions in the Middle East? For a developing nation like India, faced with gross disparity of even basic amenities, resources, accessibility, and profits, design strategies for distribution of primary resources can pay rich dividends in the future, both socially and economically. After all, the world may be going virtual, but it still needs to be fed, clothed, and housed. Technology often displaces the people closest to where it is applied, according to Professor Raghuram Raju. Professor Raju gives examples of multi-purpose dams to explain this dilemma. Dams bring water to far-flung areas in drought, but dams also displace and uproot the people living close by. The contestations built around the Narmada Dam exemplify this. The dam alone displaces more than 41,000 families in the three states of Gujarat, Maharashtra, and Madhya Pradesh. Over 56% of the people affected by the dam are Adivasis or tribals. But it does benefit the drought-prone areas of Gujarat and Rajasthan. Now, there is a dilemma. Should we or should we not build the dam? Such social dilemmas often manifest in Indian design problems because design decisions are closely shaped by not only a single well-defined use, but also by the stakes and claims of multiple beneficiaries with conflicting goals for the same resource. We have competing stakeholders and limited resources. Disparity, despite abundance in India, often makes it difficult to make a trade-off between opportunities, pushing design into contested terrains. Social dilemmas manifest Indian design problems because design decisions are closely shaped by not only a single well-defined use, but also by the stakes and claims of multiple beneficiaries with conflicting goals for the same resource. Here, design problems are as much about conflict resolutions as they are about need fulfillment of a user segment. Take, for instance, Spring Health. This is an Indian-based water company, a brainchild of Paul Pollack. According to Pollack's website, Spring Health utilizes an innovative point-of-sale purification and distribution model to sell affordable drinking water to low-income families. It began operations in Odisha and plans to scale across the country in the coming years. Here is a video about their vision.
$1.5 billion people the world over don't have access to clean drinking water. 40% of this population lives in India. The country sees 1,600 people die every day due to waterborne and water-related diseases. The solution to this widespread problem could lie in affordable clean drinking water. This is the pursuit at Spring Health.
Spring Health customers save anywhere from 8 to 14,000 rupees per year per family on medicines that they otherwise have to spend on because of stomach ailments brought on by consuming bad water. In addition to this, children who drink Spring Health water absorb their nutrition better and become healthier.
Spring Health has a network of electrochlorination plants which are equipped with electrochlorinators from Antenna Foundation in Switzerland. Each plant produces enough chlorine to purify water in 50 villages every day. The business uses street theatre, door-to-door campaigns, and water testing campaigns to educate people. Spring Health has created a strong rural distribution network using enterprising locals. Whether it is maintaining dedicated Spring Health water tanks at the village level or delivering bottled water to village stores or to the consumer's door, locals are engaged. Addressing an issue as large as clean drinking water has demanded that Spring Health be a learning organization, one that applies simple and affordable techniques such as chlorination and adapts products and services to the culture of its consumers.
We need a new generation of frontier multinationals, each of which can transform the livelihoods of at least 100 million $2 a day customers, generate 10 billion in annual revenues, and earn sufficient profits to attract international global investment. Spring Health represents a model for those companies.
The vision at Spring Health is to improve the lives of 200 million people across the world in the coming decade. It is about reducing the money spent on treating illnesses and reducing debts associated with illness. It is about improving health.
But of course, this video is not the full story. The major challenge for Paul was to sell water to villagers of Odisha. Villagers usually consume water from public water resources such as open wells, ponds, and hand pumps. They have always done so. Therefore, they don't understand why they should now pay for water which they have always consumed free of charge. Spending even INR 4 rupees per day for 10 liters of water was seen as a huge expense by some of the households. There are also cultural beliefs and faith associated with water of certain ponds, such as a kund close to a temple. Water of the kund is considered holy, irrespective of the pollutants it contains. Moreover, village is not a homogeneous unit of users. Villages are ridden with class and caste barriers, which do not allow for a single seamless service delivery system across the segment. If a lower caste person touches the tap, tank, or jerry can, the whole water becomes undrinkable for the upper caste people. This issue became a major contention as Spring Health was losing a considerable chunk of customers. In every village, 20 to 25% population was lower caste. They had separate habitation in the village. Nonetheless, they were customers for Spring Health. Losing customers meant losing business, and if such incidents is not handled in a sensitive manner, it could lead to closing down of business. Even a little imbalance in Spring Health's dealings could result in losing either group of customers or even both. Therefore, a clear, precise, and persistent plan was chalked out by Spring Health to meet the societal challenges. For acceptability in villages, they used local people who worked as business associates. Local dance and music was used to get a foothold in village and to make villagers aware of Spring Health and its product. To overcome religious barriers, the team convinced the temple trust in the village to install the equipment in the temple well or kund for purification and further distribution. In order to cater to different castes and classes, Spring Health started door-to-door delivery. Different jerry cans were used to cater to different groups of people, so that the upper class people were not offended. As per customer choice, door-to-door delivery was promoted. Soon, 97% people were accessing door-to-door delivery. In the end, the technology of chlorination for purifying water was far more easily implemented than an equitable service model. Technology and design was hardly a barrier, but distribution was. A developing nation like India faces wide disparities of even basic amenities and essential services such as water, food, clean and safe environment, health, and basic education. Therefore, developing design strategies for accessibility and distribution of primary resources can pay rich dividends in the future, both socially and economically. Increasing number of laws have been enacted to reduce disparity of access and resources, such as the right to information, right to education, right to food security, and the Lokpal Bill in India. Though the Indian citizens are constitutionally empowered, the country is yet to build resources to make these rights accessible in a meaningful manner. Design efforts concentrating in these areas of constitutional empowerment will play a key role in delivering these targets. If different forms of design and technology are suited to distinctly different forms of social and political existence, then a suitable fit between the two should be sought compatible with conditions of freedom and social justice. How can we develop innovative technologies that promote a civic culture of democracy? How do we decipher the contribution of a particular device or system to the quality of social and political community? Technology and policy can together create appropriate designs to respond to these new development challenges and opportunities. For instance, educating a nation of 1.2 billion people is a daunting task. Can design redefine education and the means of getting educated? Hole-in-the-wall pedagogy gives an alternative to the formal educational system to piggyback on children's innate curiosity for self-learning. Hole-in-the-Wall project began in the early 1999. Sugata Mitra and some of his colleagues sunk a computer into the opening of a wall near their office in New Delhi. The area was located in a slum with desperately poor people struggling to survive. The computer screen was visible from the street, and the PC was available to anyone who passed by. The computer had online access and a number of programs that could be used, but no instructions were given for its use. What happened next astonished everyone. Children came running out of the nearest slum and glued themselves to the computer. They began to click and explore on their own without any adult supervision. They began to learn how to use this strange thing. And magic. A few hours later, the children were actually surfing the web. Within 6 months, the children of the neighborhood had learned all the mouse operations, could open and close programs, and were going online to download games, music, and videos. Lack of English or school education did not hamper the learning curve of these children. Interestingly, children also described the computer in their own terms, often coining words to indicate what they saw on the screen. For instance, the children's word for the hourglass symbol was dambu, the name of a small wooden drum. The mouse cursor was called tir, a Hindi word for arrow. So children could educate themselves without a teacher, without a school, and without a curriculum. Can 1.2 billion population of India be left out to gaze on a screen on a wall? Here is another example. Vinay Venkatraman from the Copenhagen Institute of Interaction Design developed a frugal design to assist the Indian education system. A TED talk by Vinay on his design called Darshana. Similarly, with the recent spurt of Facebook and Twitter activism, social media has become generation-wise technology platform for social empowerment. But is the social media designed yet to empower? C.K. Prahlad redefined the 29.8% Indians lying below the poverty line. He argued that doing business with the world's 4 billion poorest people requires companies to transform their understanding of scale from a bigger is better ideal to an ideal of highly distributed small-scale operations married to world-scale capabilities. But this is not just a sector for consumption, but also for production. We do not spend a penny on the education of the informal sector, but every penny of the informal production goes into the making of our GDP. Here are designers and engineers without design and engineering education. 90% of the world's designers work exclusively on products for the richest 10% of the world's customers, according to Paul Puller. But such a positioning, though significant by itself, overlooks the indigenous system of designing and production of the other 90% of the world's customers. After all, design and technology in MSMEs, cottage industries, and crafts has been invented, improvised, and maintained by illiterate producers of hardly any means for centuries. This informal sector contributes to 33% of the manufacturing output in India. This grassroots intelligentsia has been credited for inventing a diverse range of products ranging from low-cost washing machines that can be paddled, weaving looms to even gadgets with which you can walk in water. Using the skills of this 33% and upgrading the same for various design and production requirements is a daunting task for any education system, but also one of the most lucrative employable segment for a developing nation. The diversity of the Indian design scenario is its bone and bane. It opens up a plethora of opportunities for design intervention, but also constrains its use. In India, design and technologies die a slow death because there is always a user segment that has yet not upgraded due to financial, cultural, or any other constraint. Therefore, a handheld driller can be used in the same city that runs its factories on computer numerical control lathes. If design has to be inclusive of such varying levels of user abilities, it requires forward and backward integration of technology to maximize its relevance. A good example of the same was a rupee symbol that is easy to write by hand or clicked on the computer. But more importantly, it can also be typed on the typewriter. Thus, the design is inclusive of obsolete as well as new technologies. Typewriters are still used outside ports in India and in smaller towns as well. The rupee symbol beautifully integrates the obsolete technologies with the advanced ones. It is inclusive of not just technologies, but also diverse user segments and their skills. After all, users of every technology vary in their cognitive as well as physical capabilities. If design in India has to manifest itself as not just a branch of product development, marketing, communication, or a technological fetishism, that is, if it is not to remain a reactive attitude, it will have to become proactive. In other words, it will have to propose new scenarios for the future. Scenarios which are equitable, encompassing, enriching, and empowering. So that was all from my side. I have presented 3 lectures to you. The first one was more about the trajectory of the user and how the user has, or the role of the user has changed from that being very passive to someone who became very active and became the end user itself. The second lecture was largely about social theories of Papanek, Herbert Simon, and Prahlad and Hart. And the third lecture, which we presented today, was more about the application of these social design theories and how they lead to certain kind of dilemmas in the field itself. So hopefully you would have found the lectures to be of help to you or assist you in the understanding of social design as well as its application in general life. Thank you so much.
Yes, yes. Very true, ma'am. Very true. And really, heartily thanks for your valuable time and inputs and this great resource provided by you in a different case studies and with your input and your ideas also. Hopefully, it will very much benefited for the participants of both the countries. Now I am again thanking you on behalf of Department of Applied Art, Faculty of Visual Art, Banaras Hindu University, Maryland Institute, College of Art, MICA, Baltimore, and Michigan State University, and whole organizing team from my side. Thanks to you, special thanks for giving a three valuable lecture and giving this valuable time and your input. We will surely connect with you for the some other sessions also in future. And if I have any questions from the side of participants, surely I will send to you. Thank you, participants, and thank you, ma'am, for your valuable time.
Thank you so much, Professor Arora. Thanks a lot.